It's week 5 of the LCS, and it's time to go over picks and bans for what we think might happen in Champ Select this week. Will Seraphine be played? Will Udyr get played this time? I have some thoughts on each of the different roles, so we're going to check it out and hopefully help you win your fantasy leagues. So we're going to start with top lane here. So top lane, very similar to what we said last week. There haven't been a huge amount of changes in the top lane. I had predicted that Orin would be played maybe a few times as like a super tank, but it actually turned out that Sion was more of the pick. We haven't seen as much Camille from teams. Like, they do enjoy building a team comp around Camille, but if they can't get some of those pieces early on, she is falling through quite a few drafts. Aatrox has been played a little bit. If you have Finn, Aatrox is a great pick. But yeah, those kind of top 4, Renekton, Gnar, Gangplank, and Gragas are the main 4. A few more Scions that we're seeing here and there, and even potentially a Malphite, but I didn't think there was enough Malphites or like that we could predict that players were going to pick Malphite enough to put it in the picture. The other one to take a look at is Jace if you have Huni. Now, TSM is playing Dignitas, 100 Thieves, and Cloud9. And Cloud9's known for their drafts. I don't think that they're going to blind pick Gnar, who Fudge hasn't really been playing. And Jace is really just good into the Gnar matchup in this case. Maybe would do okay against Gragas, but he's not a super, super good pick into the other ones. He's just supposed to be this hard counter to Gnar so that you can push Gnar in constantly. And we saw Huni make the Gnar basically irrelevant in 2 games. But based on the top laners who he's playing and who he's playing against and the teams that TSM's up against and whether or not they have counter pick, I don't think that we'll see Jace this week, or at least I kind of hope. Like, I have Huni. I'd love if he gets lots of fantasy points, but I hope teams don't just keep blind picking the Gnar into him. Like, he's proven that it doesn't work. So that's the top lane. Let's move on to the jungle. So in the jungle, I changed this one specifically to be less likely because of bans. I think Olaf is still kind of the number 1 jungler. We're seeing a few bans thrown out. Graves and Hecarim are probably considered higher tier or higher priority. However, they are getting banned a lot. Lilia is also pretty huge simply because she's the AP option here. I still think Elise would work really well in this meta, but for some reason, the pros in North America just really don't like Elise. So Lilia is the AP option, and so we're seeing her often get banned. She has quite a high presence, much more than Jarvan, but it's a lot on the ban side of things. So I would say kind of Olaf, Skarner, Hecarim are the top 3 picks for sure. I'm picking Olaf, Hecarim for most junglers this week. I still don't think Udyr is going to see a ton of play, but I do think that he'll start sneaking through a little bit. He's been permabanned for long enough that I think teams are starting to kind of have strategies against it. And so we saw like Cloud9 let the Udyr through. They let it through the ban phase once, and it was actually a blue side ban. And then FlyQuest actually took the Udyr and got demolished anyways. So I think we might see a little bit more of that, but not enough that it's worth picking for fantasy. So let's move on to the mid lane. In the mid lane, we're back to kind of that trio. I pushed Syndra back up into the top tier. Azir, Orianna, Syndra. That's most games. We're seeing a little bit of Twisted Fate, a little bit of Trist, a little bit of Zoe. There's kind of all of these other picks sprinkled in, and the mid lane's quite volatile. But what we are seeing is the mid lane picks have shifted more towards the front half of the draft. So teams are picking their mid much earlier now. And so if the Azir gets left up, it's basically in every game. And then Orianna and Syndra are kind of the 2 main plays against it. We are seeing some Seraphine, and I think Seraphine's in kind of the same condition as Udyr, where she's been permabanned or like was banned quite a bit for a while, and teams kind of are starting to have a strategy against it now, where they can play well against the ultimate, and the damage that she brings is nothing compared to basically anyone else on this list here. Victor's the other one to watch out for. I kind of mentioned it a little bit last week, but I do think we'll see some Victor. If it gets to late game, he's just so strong. So I think Victor is another one, but I would stick to kind of those top 3 picks, Azir, Orianna, Syndra. They're going to be in every game. picked or banned pretty much for sure. Moving on to the bot lane. So in the bot lane, Kai'Sa, the nurse did not hit her that much. I know a lot of people thought that pros weren't going to play her, but I think a lot of pros just really like the self-peel of Kai'Sa. Like I've heard Doublelift a few times talk about just how she's the best AD carry in terms of kit. Like if you just ignore the numbers, her kit gives her so much self-peel and she can dive in. She has two options. Whereas like Ezreal, even though he's got self-peel, he's not diving in to create self-peel for himself the same way. And you know, like if a team gets Kai'Sa Hecarim, even if she takes a slight damage nerf and maybe Xayah would actually do more damage than her, the fact that she can just zip to the backline and blow up the enemy AD carry because they got the fear from the Hecarim ulti, like that's something that's not going to go away. Riot's not going to change that piece of her kit. So I think we'll keep seeing Kai'Sa. That's the point. Still see a lot of Senna. And then if those two picks kind of get banned or they're or they're taken away, there's kind of this whole second tier of AD carries. Aphelios did get picked a few times last week. I was wrong to say that he was a do not pick, but I still think like it's kind of mostly tactical. If you don't have tactical or aren't banning against him, I don't know about the Aphelios pick. Jinx has shown up quite a few times. Ezreal's showing up here and there. And the new one that apparently pros are really getting into is the Kalista pick. And the other little piece here is Kalista has a few really good synergies with some supports right now. You know, like Kalista Galio is really awesome. And there's this new one that's been kind of popping up in high level solo queue, Kalista Nico. You throw the Nico in and then she ults everyone. So I think like if the Kai'Sa gets banned and maybe Senna's taken away or Senna doesn't fit the comp really well, you need like a hard damage threat. The Kalista could show up this week. So we'll move on to support. In support, I've moved up Seraphine into the less likely pick. Now, the reason that I didn't put Seraphine on the bot lane, I said still do not pick Seraphine for the bot lane. I don't think that it's predictable enough to know when a team is going to put Seraphine in the bot role and then they'll have like Trist in the mid lane. Or because they have to have still a hard damage threat, right? I think it's more likely that their hard damage threat comes from AD, but we might see Seraphine sneak through to support a few times. Sometimes when I'm watching the drafts, it kind of feels like teams are like, okay, Seraphine's open, we'll just pick her. And then they're not really sure what they're going to do with it. And they don't want to give up those high priority, like Kai'Sa high priority or like a really high damage threat. So yeah, I would say that maybe pick it for support, but there are better options. The Alistair Thresh Tom is just still too strong. And actually, Rel has been getting through a lot more. I considered putting Rel up to the top just because people are starting to let it through a little bit more. I think they're crazy. Rel seems to still be so broken in pro. Has some of the best level 1 CC and just like such consistent good engage. So I would say like Rel, it's not worth picking Seraphine if you know that you're going to get one Rel game and there's maybe like a 20% chance you might end up having a Seraphine game for your support. So I think there's better picks than Seraphine for sure. Kind of the same thing goes for bot lane. I'm just going to actually switch back to the bot really quick. I forgot to put Tristana in this. She's getting, swapped from mid a little bit. So that's another kind of the less likely picks that could show up. So that's all of the picks there. We're going to do a quick example. All right. So in this league, I am in the playoffs. I'm in the upper bracket. I got third or second place. Second place, I think. Yeah, second place. One guy went 4-0. I wish. So for Huni, like I said, I don't think the Jace is worth it. Potentially the Shen. Yeah, Huni's actually a tough one to pick now for because he just has such a variety of champs. I'm debating the Shen and maybe the Gangplank. I'm gonna go Gnar. Huni's Gnar. He likes playing that champion. Impact. I'd be griefing if I didn't pick Renekton. So yeah, we'll do that. Xerxes really likes the Hecarim and people are letting him have it, so I will do the Hecarim. Santorin, I banned out the Jarvan last time. That felt pretty good, but he still had more Olaf games. I still think Olaf's going to get through a decent amount. Like, there are so many high priority bans, and yeah, like when you're playing C9, you want to take that away from Blabber, ban out a few other jungle picks. Yeah. Demonte's a weird one because he plays so many champions. He's got kind of a couple of main ones in like the Twisted Fate and Galio, but he's not really playing them as much at the moment. So I think I'm just going to go with Orianna. Palafox. Oh, the Sylas is the pick that I totally forgot about the Sylas. Yeah, Sylas is a big one because of the Skarner ulti. So yeah, but I'll go with the Syndra for Palafox. Sven, got to go with the Kai'Sa. Sven ends up having like one or two really, really strong AD carries that he plays. So, and he's really good on the Kai'Sa right now. Definitely also has quite a variety, but I think I'll go with the Kai'Sa just because, you know, it's kind of, I think that you're almost guaranteed to get one game of Kai'Sa for every AD carry. Vulcan, I really want to pick the Alistar, but the Rel has just been getting left up for him. So I'm going to pick Rel this week, and he's probably going to play Alistar 3 times. But and then Diamond, I'll ban the Tom Kench. Yeah, so that's the picks and bans. I hope that's helpful. I hope that gives you a good read on the meta. And the bonus tip that I kind of forgot about is the Sylas. If you want to ban it away from a couple people in the mid lane, with Skarner being much higher priority, it's just such a good ultimate for the Sylas to steal. So that's the bonus tip. But may the fantasy odds be ever in your favor, and good luck in the playoffs.